Well, yeah, here we go. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Yeah.
All right. I want to thank all of you for coming out this evening. You know, we do live in LA, and you could be anywhere. There's so many other things to do, but you chose to be here, hanging out with me, Levy Lee. You know, some of you, a lot of you I know, a lot of you I don't. But by the end of this next hour and 20 minutes, you will know a little bit about me. So one thing that you need to know, I am. And the people that know me know this, you know, I'm born and raised in Harlem, USA, right? And I'm not talking about like the new Harlem. I'm not talking about Harlem Heights or No Har or Hardy Har or whatever they call it, right? I'm talking about old Harlem, Black Mecca Harlem. Harlem of the 1960s, 1970s, 80s, and 90s, when Harlem was dangerous and exciting, but still had all of the cultural attributes that Harlem is known for: art and culture and dance and theater and crazy politicians and, you know, all of that stuff, right? So my parents came to New York in the 1950s, and they were both from South Carolina, Bishopville and Elliott. Two towns, as they say, so small, you blink, you miss them, right? But in the summers of my youth, my parents and my aunts and uncles would load up the 1969 black shiny Chevy, you know, the ones with the wings on the back and the arrows on the side, right? And my mother and my Aunt Shirley would fry up all this chicken and no jokes and potato salad and all kinds of fruits and cakes and pies and stuff. Big jug of Kool-Aid, grape or purple, right? And Tang. Y'all remember Tang, right? And Tang, right? And my Uncle Buddy or my father would drive. We were going down south. And 10, 12 hours later, that car would roll up into the front yard of my grandparents' house on my mother's side. And my grandfather, Walter Bradley, would come running out of the house, and he'd pick me up, and he'd twirl me around. And from that moment on, it was just me and him. Come on, Junior. We going to the store. And we get in his little beat-up green Ford and drive down to the country store, which was 2 miles down the road a piece. And when we got there, the country store owner, and you know, white, he was friendly enough. Hey there, Walter, how you doing? Oh, I'm just fine, Mr. Jennings, just fine. How are you? Oh, fair to middle. Who's that you got there with you? Oh, this my grandson. He come all the way down to visit me from New York. Oh, New York, huh? What's your name, boy? Levy? Levy? Well, that's a good name. That's a biblical name. All right, well, you go have a good time with your grandpa. He's a good boy. Did he just call my grandfather a boy? I mean, I was only 7 or 8 years old, but I knew something. But my grandfather didn't pay no mind. He kept going on about his business, so I went and got me some candy, you know, squirrel nuts and licorice, red licorice pennies were my favorite back then. Right, so they had this big red ice box that used to sit on the floor, and a Coca-Cola ice box. And my grandfather would pick me up by my legs, open that ice box up, said, reach down there and get 2 cold ones. And I reach my little hands down and all that water and ice, and I come back up with 2 very cold and very wet Coca-Cola bottles. Right? So we open those bottles on the side of that ice box and go out to the car and turn those sodas up. Now I remember it was strong going down, and it used to burn a bit. And my grandfather, the bubbles would come up out of my nose, right? And my grandfather would turn his up, drink half the bottle, turn it up with a Boy, if there's anything better than a Coca-Cola, I don't want to know about it. Well, my grandmother and my mother didn't want me drinking Coca-Cola back then because it was strong, and some people even said it had cocaine in it. Well, that might tell the problem I had with that little drug a little later on in life, but that's for a different play. So the car would roll up into the front yard, and my mother and my grandmother were on the porch. I thought I told you not to buy that boy no Coca-Cola. Oh shoot, ain't gonna hurt him. Come on, Junior, pay them no mind. And we go off and feed the hogs or the chickens or something. Yeah, me with my Coca-Cola and my candy. Yeah, Walter Bradley. He couldn't read or write. He signed his name with an X. But they said he was good with numbers and couldn't be cheated. So he came up doing that sharecropping system, and he worked his way out of that, got his own house, and raised his 12 children with my beautiful grandmother, Ella Bradley. He was born in 1898. Died in 1980. Yeah, I remember his eyes. He had deep, soulful eyes. It's as if you could see his entire life in his eyes. And I can only imagine the kind of things that he's seen growing up in America in the South during Jim Crow's 1920s, 30s, and 40s. My other grandfather, Jesse Moot Simon. Now, Jesse Moot Simon was a very different man than Walter Bradley. Jesse Moot Simon had 15 children. And the stories about my grandfather were like so outrageous, so crazy, you had to go, did that really happen? Or you lying? I mean, because they were mythological, but I had heard some of those stories and I'd seen some of the incidents happen in my own life. But my favorite story about Moot Simon was told to me by my mother. And my mother, to this day, is still the greatest storyteller I've ever known. I used to love sitting down and hearing her tell me stories when I was a little boy, and she would tell me stories about growing up in the Deep South. I would sit right down on the floor, and she would tell me, you want to know about your granddaddy, huh? Moot Simon, that man, Lord. Yeah, he was a prominent man in Lee County, South Carolina, and he dressed to show it. That's right, wingtip shoes, tailor-made suits, and Stetson hats. And he bought him a new car every 2 years. And he owned acres and acres of his own land going back to the 1920s and 30s. That was unheard of for a black man in those times. Yeah, and he employed half the black population of Lee County, South Carolina, working on his tobacco fields, cotton fields, corn fields. Oh, and he was an undertaker, too. You know, that business is still in the family to this day. It's Square Deal Funeral Home. You never go out of business. Yeah, and he was a deacon in the Mount Zion Baptist Church. Yeah, well, a lot of people laughed at that one. Because, you know, where he got his enormous wealth from was from bootlegging. Oh yeah, during the 1920s and 30s, during the Depression and Prohibition, your granddaddy's snake corn liquor was in high demand. White folk and black people bought liquor from Moot. I mean, during the time when most people were dirt broke and poor, your granddaddy would lend money or give money to anybody he trusted. A lot of white people who later became prominent in the state had borrowed money from Moot. He used to say, oh shoot, liquor don't know no color. Yeah, he used to have a standing order from governors of the state. Well, it was 1949, and me and your Aunt Geneva was home from a break at Christmas from a college in Columbia. Your Aunt Geneva went to Benedict. I went to Allen University. Now, your Aunt Geneva was the first person in your father's family to graduate from college. I was the first in mine. So we home, and we decide we're going to go downtown Bishopville to the Five and Dime to get some soda floats. So we go down and get the floats, and we come out because we couldn't sit at the counter. So we come out, and there's a group of white men that's standing in front of the store. I didn't pay them no mind. I kept walking to the car. Well, as we walking, I heard one of them say, look at the nigga gay. I'm about to lose my religion for what I'm thinking. What I would do with that. Now, I just kept walking to the car. But you know, your Aunt Geneva, she gonna have to say something. She got to have the last word every time. And she turned around and said, you wouldn't know what to do with that little pepper you got no way. Why she say that? Okay. So we get in the car. Geneva driving. So I look through the rear view mirror and turn around, and there's 4 carloads of white men following us. And I tell Geneva, I said, Geneva, she driving, but I tell Geneva, you're going to have to drive faster than that. And so she down the highway, they right behind us. Now she turned off the highway onto the dirt road that leads to Moot House. And she got her foot on the pedal. She got the pedal to the metal. But they right behind us. So we turned into the front yard, hopped out the car, ran into the house and locked the door. Well, they come in right behind us, right between those 2 big pecan trees in the front yard. And they come out, they get out that car. Hey, you black wenches, you know you don't talk to no white man like that. Yeah, we gonna teach you a lesson. Y'all gonna get strung up. I said, come on out here before we come in there and get you. Well, we looking through the blinds, through the window, just in time to see Moot's shiny Studebaker turn onto that dirt road. And it's coming down slow and steady, kicking up dust, and finally it turns into the front yard. Those white men, they quieted down now. They just are looking. And Moot, that side front door open, and out stepped a pair of blue and white wingtip shoes, followed by blue pinstripe slacks, gold pocket watch, blue pinstripe jacket, navy blue shirt, white tie, gold tie pin, and Moot in his cream color fedora. Oh yeah, he was clean. He's always clean now. And he tipped his hat. Evening, gentlemen. Walked into the house. He ain't even looked at us. Those white men, they just all confused because they ain't never seen no colored man like this colored man before. You better send them guys out here if you know it's good for you. Well, Moot stepped back out on that porch, all right, with his double-barrel shotgun, and he loaded it right in front of him, too. And cocked it closed. May I help you? Lord, them white men didn't know what to do. They started shifting from one leg to the next leg, and finally one of them said, yeah, I think we on Moot Simon property. And they got in their car, slammed the door, and drove off. Yeah, now they may not have ever met him, but they had heard of him. That's right, that black man in Lee County, that was your granddaddy right there. That was Moot. You know, I love hearing that story from my mother about my grandfather because it said everything to me about the kind of blood that had flowing through my veins. So growing up in Harlem, I never felt like a minority. I mean, I was around people that looked like me, act like me, walk and talk like me. My friends, my family, my community. I mean, we didn't even see any white people. The only white people we saw were really on TV, or except when my mother would take me with her shopping down to Macy's or Gimbel's, or we might go see a Broadway play. And then you might see some white, but there was always a white woman that wanted to pinch my cheeks. Oh, he is so adorable. I hated that shit. Well, so, you know, but back uptown in Harlem, I mean, the only white people were the police and teachers. We had this, so I was in third grade, and we had this substitute teacher that came in to take over for the regular teacher that went out on maternity leave. Miss Easton was her name. She was a tall, thin brunette, as I remember, and it seems like she had it in for me from the first day. She accused me of talking too much in class, chewing gum, eating candy, disrupting the class, you cheating on tests, you name it. So it was a cold December day, and there was a snowstorm, more like a blizzard, and she kept me in class in detention for what I don't remember, but anyway, it was just me and her in the classroom. Now my eyes are on the clock because I gotta get home before my mother comes home. I'm gonna get a whooping. And I'm looking at the clock, and I told her, I gotta go. I gotta get home before my mother comes home from work. Well, an hour later, oh yeah, just forgot. She said, your mother works? Anyway, an hour later, I got up and I went to the closet to get my coat, but the closet was locked. You will leave when I say you can leave, young man, and not before. Well, listen, I was in the third grade, but that didn't stop me. I walked right out of that school into that blizzard, and I slipped and slid all the way home. By the time I got there, my mother was just getting in. Boy, what are you doing just getting in this house? Where's your hat, your coat, and your glove and everything? Get in this house. Now, I knew I was going to get a whooping, that she was going to tell me to go get the belt, but after I explained what happened, she just said, go to your room. The next morning, my mother and my father escorted me to school. When we got there, Mr. Weinstein, the principal, and Miss Lamar, the black guidance counselor, called Miss Easton down to the office. Miss Easton, I would like to know, in God's name, why would you send this child home in the middle of a blizzard without his outer garments? Well, she hemmed and hawed and tried to avoid the question, and finally she just said, well, yeah, I'm from Michigan, and my husband, he got a job on Fifth Avenue, and he's an architect, and the Board of Education assigned me here in Harlem. And in Michigan, we don't have Negroes. And Levy, well, quite frankly, he's the darkest thing I've ever seen. He looks like one of those Africans, Well, they had to hold my mother back that day. Miss Easton, in this community, we don't discriminate against anybody because of the way they look. Now, you have one of two choices. You can resign or you can be fired. Well, I'm quite sure she resigned, I guess, but I never saw her again. But the damage had been done. I got the message that something was wrong. Not with me, maybe, but with the way the world viewed me, maybe. Anyway, Miss Lamar, the black guidance counselor, started an after-school program that teaches young kids about black history. So that was the silver lining. I was learning about black history from the third grade. My mother would say to me, she was never bitter. She could get angry, never bitter. And she would say to me, son, you live in a racist world. I am not going to lie to you about that. But you look every person in the eye, and you judge them as an individual first. Let them show you who they are before you pass judgment on them, because they always will show you who they are. Remember, there's good and bad in every race. My mother was a wise woman. I carry that with me to this day. So, the police were ever present in our neighborhood. And they were not there to protect and serve us. They were there to harass us, to beat us up, to arrest us, and to kill us. First person I remember them killing was a kid named Jimmy. Jimmy was 16 years old, but Jimmy was a He was a classic. He was built like an African god, handsome to no end, and good with his hands. Well, that was important to us back then. And everybody loved Jimmy. I mean, old and young, and the girls. Oh my God, Jimmy! Oh, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy. Jimmy was the first person I knew that talked about leaving the neighborhood and leaving Harlem. I mean, his dream was to go to UCLA. Right? I mean, none of the other kids in the neighborhood were talking about that. I didn't even know where UCLA was until I heard Jimmy talking about it. Yeah, man, shoot. When I graduate from high school, man, y'all can stay here in Harlem if you want to, but I'm going out to UCLA, Los Angeles, man. I'm going to play for the UCLA Bruins. I'm wearing that baby blue and gold, y'all. Shoot, while y'all be freezing your asses off out here in the summertime, in the wintertime, man, I'm going to be on the beach in 80-degree weather, surrounded by a bunch of fine girls. You watch and see. So, we're playing stickball in the middle of the street. When little Brycey comes running into the block, police beating Jimmy up. So we all stopped and ran over to 116th Street where there was a crowd of people surrounding a stoop. Heard a woman scream, "Stop it! You're killing him!" Well, the crowd opens up and the four cops with their billy clubs walk, they get in their cars, they drive off, leaving Jimmy's bloody body slumped up against the stoop. He tried to move. Don't move, man. Ambulance is coming. Well, the ambulance finally did come and they loaded Jimmy's motionless body onto the gurney. Everybody was messed up after that. Oh God, they did not have to do that, boy, like that. Goddamn police, goddamn police. Every time I turn around, it's the goddamn police. Yeah, you let one of them motherfuckers try that shit with me, man. I'll kill one of them motherfuckers. Apparently, they beat Jimmy up because he wouldn't move fast enough when they were coming out of the building. They had words, and Jimmy wouldn't back down. Well, I mean, no kid from 116th Street or 115th Street would back down. If you knew anything about the neighborhood, you would know that. But they beat him to death. Rodney King, long before Rodney King, and there were no cameras, and Jimmy died. I was only 10 years old. When I was 16, my family had moved uptown Harlem to Esplanade Gardens at 145th Street, Lenox Avenue. I was an EG boy. Some of y'all know what that means, others don't. Anyway, so a good friend of mine, Eric Miles, had gotten us into a basketball tournament way out in Brooklyn, right? So the first couple of times we went out there, we got beat really bad. I mean, we got stomped, right? And because them kids from Brooklyn, man, they could ball, you know? So I decided I was going to recruit some of the best basketball players in Harlem, or at least uptown where I was. And I did that. You know, I got Charles Brunson, I got Charlie Holmes, I got Warren Kamani, Rob Wilson, and I got the three little guys like Michael, Mark, and Trent. Mark was 5'3", Michael was 5'5", and Trent was a towering 5'7", right? And but they could ball. I mean, they could go between the legs, behind the back. You know, I mean, they could run like jackrabbits. They could shoot from the outside. You name it. It would be like having Muggsy Bogues, Spud Webb, and Calvin Murphy all on the same team at the same time, right? And they were always together like the Three Musketeers, and they always had a basketball. So we meet every Saturday morning. We meet at the train station on 45th Street, Lenox Avenue, take that long ride out to Brooklyn. Well, this particular Saturday, Michael didn't show up. And that was really weird because Michael loved basketball. He would not miss a game. But what concerned me more was the fact that Mark and Trent didn't know where he was. And that was concerning because they were always together, right? So we went out to Brooklyn that day. We got beat. We got stomped. I mean, and we never got stomped, not with that team, because we had won 8 games in a row, but nobody's head was in the game. Everyone was thinking about Mike. So when we went to school that Monday, we found out what happened. The police had shot and killed him. Right? So apparently, another friend of ours, Dennis, had gotten a job at a Pathmark supermarket way up in the North Bronx. And Michael went with him to see if he could get a job too. Well, they were loading some boxes on the back of a Pathmark truck. When the police rolled up, they said Michael pulled a gun on them. I wasn't there. But I would bet my life that Michael did not have a gun. Because he wasn't that kind of kid. Michael was the kind of kid that used to like to laugh and joke and play pranks on people. He wasn't a thug. He wasn't a thief, and he damn sure wasn't a murderer. Dennis said that Michael, was just trying to impress the manager when NYPD rolled up and put 3 bullets in his chest. He was 16 and he looked 12 when NYPD took his life. You know, I don't think Mark and Trent ever recovered from it. The 3 of them were good enough to play college basketball anywhere in this country. But they never did. Not the 3 of them never did. I'll never, ever forget Michael Frere. What did you? You know, every time the police kill another black person, the wounds that I have from them and others just keeps getting reopened and reopened. And reopened, and seems like they could have never healed him. When I was 22 years old, the expansive weight of racism as it applied to my own life hit me with the ferocity of a freight train, causing me to see things in a way and contemplate things in a way that I had never did before. Okay, so 6 months earlier, I had just graduated from Cheney State College, HBCU in Pennsylvania, right? And I was home and I was looking for a job, any job, right? My parents were gracious enough for me, allow me to stay with them, but I wanted to be on my own and I wanted to be independent. So I kept looking for a job. No luck. Finally, I decided I was going to go to an employment agency. So I went to Blaine Stevens Employment Agency on 48th Street and 5th Avenue. Now, when I got there, the interviewer suggested that I apply for a job there. Well, she sent me in to be interviewed by Blaine Stevens himself, the owner. Blaine Stevens, being the young white executive that he was, welcomed me. Oh, well, it was more like a warning, but he welcomed me to the agency. Lee, I'm hiring you because I like you. You are well-spoken and you have a very pleasant personality. And that's what's needed for a job like this. But I must warn you, you might see some things here and hear some things here that you might not like. My advice to you is just ignore it. Let it go. And you will do just fine. So, I thanked Mr. Stevens for hiring me, and I assured him that I would do my very best. My job assignment was to interview potential clients for jobs and call employers to see if they had any openings. Now, if my client went on an interview and got the job, I get a full commission, right? Well, if I sent someone else's client, then we split that commission and vice versa. It was a big place. It had like glass partition separating all these different offices so you could see into the other offices. And I was assigned to an office with 4 other placement counselors. There was Mike Ratner, a Burt Reynolds wannabe, and there was a fat guy named Tom, a skinny guy named Jerry, no lie, and a Jamaican woman by the name of Joy. Right? I think Joy was probably in her 40s at the time. And so it didn't take me long to figure out what Blaine Stevens were talking about. They had all these codes and that were discriminatory and racist, right? So an employer might ask for a JAP, JAP. Or they might ask for a WASP, WASP. Or they might say NBB, no black boys, and NBG, no black girls. Or they might say ATOs only, which meant attractive only. Or they might say NFP, no fat people. I mean, it was hundreds of these codes. We had to learn them all. So I was at the job about 3 days when Beverly, the front desk receptionist, a very beautiful, attractive black woman, chocolate, comes running into the office. Well, not running, but sauteing into the office. Hey, you black bitch, get over here. I turned around to see what Beverly was going to do, because even though I was new, I'm ready to back her up. But she saunters over to Mike Ratner's desk, and she sits in his lap, and they flirted, and they smiled, and she left. And I'm like, okay, right? So this happened on 2 other occasions. Finally, on the 3rd time, I just said, excuse me, would you mind, like, not calling her that in my presence? Everything got quiet. Mike Ratner looked at me. Well, Lee, she doesn't mind. And Beverly's eyes are shooting daggers at me. And I go, well, that's okay, but I'm just asking that you not call her that in my presence. What you say to her when I'm not here, none of my business. Well, Beverly got up and walked out, I mean, shaking her big black girl booty, and I'm looking, I'm going, So that afternoon, coming back from lunch, Beverly stops me at the front receptionist desk. Excuse me. Hey, Bev, why'd you do that? What? That. I can take care of myself, you know. I'm quite sure you can, but, you know, when he calls you that, it's like he's insulting every black woman that I know. Well, that's okay because, you know, we go out for drinks after work and Michael treats me better than any black guy I know. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe you need to find some new black guys to hang out with. Oh, well, all black guys are the same. Yeah, that's not true. Well, never met anybody like you before, that's for sure. So I go into the office, and Joy is sitting at her desk alone. Thank you. Why? I get so sick of them. I'm about time somebody stood up to them. They walk around thinking they can say anything because they got that pink skin on. I get so tired of it. They call you names too? No, they don't call me names, but they don't go that far with me. But I just get so sick. I want to quit, but I need my job. Oh, thank you. So, on another afternoon, one of the counselors wouldn't send one of my clients out on a job interview because who happened to be African American, because he didn't have a tie on. Excuse me, brother. How long will it take you to go home and get a tie? Let's see, maybe about an hour. So I looked over through the glass partition to Kayshawn, who was a counselor, right? But, you know, think Michael J. Fox, young Michael J. Fox, you got Kayshawn. And he's sitting over there and he's watching. So I go over to his office and I say, hey, man. He said it'll take him about an hour. Can't send him. Why? Lee, I can't send him. Why? The man's got a master's degree from Bowling University and he's got job experience. Lee, I just can't send him. Will you tell me why? Well, it's not like he's you. What the fuck does that mean? What? So I go back over to my side and I opened the glass partition because I want everybody to hear this. And I tell the brother, excuse me, brother, listen, there is a job opening. I just don't have the information because you see that guy over there? The guy, that white guy, the one that's trying to hide behind that woman? You see him? Yeah. He won't give me the job address because you're black. Everything got quiet. Brother stood up. He's bigger and taller than me. Yeah, well, thank you for being honest with me, brother, but man, I don't know how you could be working here. And he left, leaving that comment hanging in the air. How could I be working there? So, again, another afternoon, coming in from lunch. I'm going to have my lunch with me because I'm going to eat at my desk. And I come in and there's this white woman sitting at my desk at the interview seat. She was fairly attractive. I thought she was a client or potential client. And as I sat down, she goes, Hi, is this your desk? Yeah. Well, and you are? I'm Karen. I'm Mike Ratner's sister. Her name really was Karen, too. And I'm Mike Ratner's sister. Oh, okay. And you are? I'm Lee. Oh, you're Lee. The black guy. Yeah, I heard about you. Well, I hope it was good. We'll reserve that. Ooh, you have a nice body. Ooh, Michael, you didn't tell me that. Thank you. You know, most black guys have nice bodies. You play sports? I did. Well, yeah, the average black guy has a better body than the average white guy. Did you know that? Never really thought about it. Well, they do. I think it's because of, like slavery and everything. Like, what Jimmy the Greek said from the breeding. What? Yeah, but you don't agree? I think that's a very racist thing to say. I'm not racist. Why would you say that? I'm not racist. I'm just being friendly. Well, I don't need friendly people saying racist things to me. Well, I'm not racist. My God, you're sensitive. Oh. Just talking. Ooh, can I touch your arms? No, you can't touch my arms. So, one more day, coming in at the front desk reception, Bev says, Hey Lee, be careful. Why? Just be careful, okay? Okay. So I go to my office, and on my desk is this karate magazine. And on the front cover is a guy that worked at Blaine Stevens. Now, I'd seen the guy before, right? But apparently he had won some martial arts competitions nationally and internationally, and everybody there at the job was kissing his ass. And there, this magazine was on my desk. And I could feel some energy around me, right? So, and just as if on cue, the guy walks into the office looking very much like Chuck Norris. And he walks in, he's got this stupid grin on his face, and immediately I understood. I said, oh. He's here to intimidate me. But what they didn't understand was that I'm not easily intimidated. I mean, I grew up in Harlem, USA. I had taken some knocks and I had given some. And I had been around, so I grew up around some real rough dudes, some of them killers and murderers. And besides that, I live by the code of James Brown. I may not know karate, but I know Caraza, motherfucker. So I picked up the magazine, and I handed it to him. Somebody left this on my desk. I think it's yours. He snatched the magazine out of my hand and walked out. I looked around, everyone went back to me, acting as if they weren't even looking. They were writing, working and stuff, So, every first Monday in November is an unofficial black holiday called Black Solidarity Day. I got up that morning and I'm feeling very anxious and stressed about going back to that job which I've been on for 4 months. And I just wanted to do something. I just felt this thing inside of me and I just, what can I do? What can I do? I thought I'd make a black armband. So I put a black armband on and I went to work. And when I got there, I took my suit jacket off and there I was with the black armband. And I felt people looking at the black armband. And finally Mike Gladney goes, "Hey Lee, did somebody die?" "No, nobody died. It's Black Solidarity Day." "Oh, Black Solidarity Day! Oh my God, I almost forgot. We used to celebrate that in high school." Michael was lying his ass off, man. He never celebrated Black Solidarity Day. Most black people ain't celebrate Black Solidarity Day. So, that afternoon, Bev came into the office. "Lee, Mrs. Stevens would like to see you." I didn't think anything of it. I go to Mrs. Stevens' office. "Hey, Lee, have a seat." "Lee, this is not working out. And it has nothing to do with your job performance. You are one of the best newcomers we have ever had, but this is not the place for you. And I don't think you will ever be happy here. There are people who are nervous around you, and so you can pick up your check in the county, and I can have security escort you out, or you can leave on your own." So I went to accounting, I got my check, and without saying goodbye to Bev or Joy, I walked out onto the elevator and took the elevator down to the lobby and walked out onto the streets of Fifth Avenue. When I got outside, a wave of emotion overcame me and I began to sob uncontrollably. And it wasn't because of the job. I could care less about that job, and it wasn't because of the unceremonious way that I had been fired. It was deeper than all of that. My naive view of the world had been shattered forever. I was raised by a beautiful, loving black family on both sides. I grew up in Black Harlem, USA. I went to a all black university, HBCU. That was my world. But now the realization that this realization was I would have to live as a black man in white America. And the thought of it was overwhelming to me. It was like, I may not go through the racism that my mother experienced in the deep Jim Crow South. I mean, no one had called me a nigger, at least to that point in my life. But this new shit, this subtle racism shit, this systemic shit, was just as oppressive, just as terrifying, just as stifling, just as insidious, and potentially just as deadly. How was I going to navigate that? The prejudice, the racism, the microaggressions, the macroaggressions. The thought of it was overwhelming. I couldn't stop sobbing. I was having a meltdown in the middle of the street. I cried all the way home on the bus. I cried myself to sleep that night. When I got up the next morning, I'm still feeling like off. But I got out of the bed because I couldn't do that. I'm not going to stay under those covers. That is not me. I paced in my room and I said, I gotta do something. I thought, yes, I write a letter. I write a letter to John Johnson, black newscaster at ABC News, and I tell him everything about what was going on at Blaine Stevens. And I sat down and I wrote that letter, and I finished that letter, and I put that letter in an envelope, and I sealed that letter, and I put a stamp on that letter, and I took that letter to the mailbox, and I sent it off. And I didn't know whether he would ever get it or ever read it, but for some reason, it made me feel better. I inhaled and I exhaled. And I put on my invisible suit of armor. Because I knew that I was going to be in for a war for the rest of my life. But I was okay with that, now that I knew. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Bring it on, motherfuckers. Bring it on. My name is Zeef. That's what she said to me. My name is Zeef. It was an extremely hot day in the city, Queens, a few years back. Backyard pool party, perfect solution to the heat. The music blasted from the stereo system, LL Cool J's Mind Your Business. She sat by the side of a pool, long, lean, lithe, in a bikini, beautiful, very nice. Nordic blonde with blue eyes, looking very much like a prize, and depending on your beliefs, very much like the Viking goddess Zeef. Her tone was soft and intense, and she had a German accent. And though it wasn't planned, that is how it began. Hello. Hello, back to you. My name is Lee. I know. You know? Yes, I know. I saw you in the play. Your performance really moved me. Oh, well, now I really didn't want to leave. I was even more intrigued. I stood there next to her, tame as a kitten, smitten. So, what's your name? Zeef. Zeef? Zeef. Well, just Zeef. My name is Zeef. Oh, Zeef, like the Viking goddess. Oh, you know. Yes, I do. I'm a big fan of Thor. Of course you are, sure. But please, don't misunderstand. I already have a man. Well, what's your man got to do with me? I'm just trying to be funny, you see. Oh, you are funny, hilarious, and don't pretend. I know you have a girlfriend. Well, I look back and Monique was watching. She was definitely clocking. We're just having a conversation. I'm not projecting or asking a question. Oh, you are funny, hilarious. Okay, have a seat, sit down, a conversation just between us. And I sat, and we talked about sociology and biology. We talked about criminology and psychiatry. We talked about defiance and political science, the New York Knicks, Mets, and Giants. Zeef had come to America from Germany to attend med school. And she worked at a bar at night to pay for her rent and her food. Well, later that night, under a clear New York City night sky, there was one lone star. And Zeef invited me to see her at the Cellar Bar. Now, the Cellar Bar was a happening hot spot where New York chic and chic hung out a lot. You might find anybody at the bar, a recording sensations of movie stars. They had a house band that could really bring it, and a woman was singing that night, and she was really singing it. So I'm at the bar, just, grooving to the funky sound. when a huge man walked up and laid a heavy hand down. "Hey, Lee, this is my boyfriend, Eric." I looked at him close and thorough. I knew him. It was Eric Yarborough. Now, Eric told Zeef that he was a music producer. Well, I guess he used that line to seduce her because I knew him in a different capacity. I mean, we were from the same hood, and Eric was always up to no good. He was doing things out on the street that I can't even repeat. I mean, think a dark-skinned Suge Knight long before Suge Knight. Yeah, you got it right. I mean, getting next to Zeef was out. Shoot, I might get killed, no doubt. So, but time passed crazy enough, and Zeef and I became good friends, real close. And it was something to toast, because back then I only looked at white women for one thing. Definitely wasn't to give them a diamond ring. Well, the funny thing about our relationship, it had gone beyond desires of the flesh and that kind of shit. And I liked Zeef because she knew how to have a good time without smoking reefer, drinking expensive liquors or wine. And she abhorred racism, sexism, and violence. And whenever she saw it, she wasn't silent. I mean, sometimes Zeef and I could be walking down the street, just laughing, joking, funny. And boom, she would just take off running. I mean, she used to do that from time to time. I think Zeef, she's losing her mind. Well, time passed and we became even closer. To outsiders looking in, they would have thought that we were a married couple with a bed and a toaster. And even Eric liked the arrangement because it was good for him. He didn't have to worry about her when he would be gone for 3 or 4 days to put men in their graves. I mean, taking care of his business to make sure there were no witnesses. I mean, I was just a glorified babysitter. You know, you get the picture. So, one hot summer Saturday, we decided to take it out of the city because it was just one of those days, you know, hot, gritty. So I called a friend, and Zeef did too, and the 4 of us drove Fire Island bound out near the Long Island Sound. Off the ferry boat at Oceanside, under the gaze of curious eyes, the sun was setting on the pier, and there were drunken fools around everywhere. Fire Island was a 2-mile walk down the beach. And suddenly we were being followed by a mob, to my disbelief and to the amazement of Zeef. "Hey, get out of our town, niggas!" Zeef and Sylvia were confused. Kachak and I knew the sound of those blues. "Get away from them white girls, niggas!" The sound of America rooted in the minds. The sound that still transcends time. "This beach ain't for nigga toes, niggas!" Well, I looked at Zeef. She was wide-eyed in fierce defiance, afraid but in true alliance. I looked into her eyes and I could see a Viking fire, a Viking pride. Kanshaka and I turned to face the crowd, still hollering obscenities and screaming loud. They stood there staring, eyes of hate. We stared back, ready to take a chance with fate. For a moment there was a standoff. And it seemed that night at least one life would be lost. The Grim Reaper was out on the beach that night, waiting to see which life would he take, this one, that one, he or she. Who would end up on the Reaper's death registry? They outnumbered us 10 to 1, but no one was brave enough to make a run. And I could see their fear was greater than their hate. And that made them hesitate. And then they slowly began to disperse. 4x4s, 2x2s, 3x3s, 1x1s, until they left the 4 of us standing defiantly under the setting sun. He stood there, Lenox Avenue, the corner of death and dreams, and inhale deep into his chest. A city smelling of leftover garbage, dead rats, Fifth Avenue perfume, and the sweat of hustlers trying to make a buck, hustling to pay last month's rent, selling anything they could get. And he smelled the anxiety of the real hustlers down on Wall Street when stocks are down. Oh yeah, you can smell anxiety. It has a pungent aroma, funk and musk. He inhaled again, taking in a city of sex sales, Chevy Regal, and gasoline. His nostril burned like fire, and his heart beat to the rhythm of anticipation as he entered the night. City steams in summer. Shirtless young boys out late playing board games with familiar names. Young girls pass in sheer summer dresses, and when the street light hits them just right, it shines through, revealing a silhouette of a fantasy. Ajax walked. Darkness blanketed the night. The code of security for the night dwellers. Ajax always hated night dwellers. Night dwellers were always up to something, always had something malevolent in mind. But tonight he himself is a night dweller as he enters the night malevolently. As he passed by people, he looked into their eyes. People have hope in their eyes in the summer. For what? He didn't know. All he knew that hope was a lost cause, a lost word that died in the cesspool of humanity. Ajax walked past 139th Street Park. Inside is dark, though periodic flicks from a Bic let him know that life was in there somewhere, barely. Crackhead Valley. Dark like bittersweet chocolate, skin smooth like chocolate milk, hips swaying from east coast to west, spanning the nation with each step. A lost soul in the valley of missed chances and potential. Her eyes searched his. He'd arrested her before, and it was a hard arrest because she put him to the test with the easiness of her sexual persuasion. And though he yielded not to temptation, she knew that he too would succumb to her gift of sexual power in time. But not tonight. Something else is calling him tonight. 24-hour stores with thick bulletproof glass he passed as he strolled down the street of gunfights and bucket of blood bars like the Wild Wild West. And once he was the new sheriff in town. After 5 years in uniform and 7 in plain clothes, they called him Ajax, the cowboy. After record-setting arrests and 7 deaths, he'd done his job, and tonight would be no different. There were night dwellers out there tonight. Shit. Approaching him on the street of death. 4 black boys with hard souls and heart of hearts. Check him out, size him up. Ajax lightly fingered the pistol stuck in his waist. He knew these boys. Well, he didn't know them, but he knew the type. How many times that he arrested them, threw them on the hoods of cars, handcuffs, ripped their necks so their faces were faces stars. He knew them like he knew the back of his hand as they bopped towards him in their grand style of ownership on the prowl. Had he ever arrested these 4? What was in store? They approached like gunfighters in a time gone by, a time that still exists in your mind's eye. They stared. Ajax stared back. Hands on his piece, relaxed. As they passed, they looked back at the fact that just like that, life could have been snapped away in an eruption like a volcano, creating the flow of human lava, plasma. Thump, thump, thump. Ajax walked. The black boys whispered and talked. Yo, what's up with that nigga, man? Yo, there's some crazy motherfuckers out here on the street at night, G. He thought he wanted to walk way downtown to his destination, but now his adrenaline was pumping, and inside the joint was jumping. Now he had to get downtown or the Iron Horse southbound. They would be there. They were always there. Night dwellers of the blue. Night dwellers that ate, lived, and bled blue blood. They would be there. Flash badge. Train roars. Sit. Rumble tumble into the tunnel of no return. Ajax Murray. Again, things are blurry, but at least now he'd be there in a hurry. He tried everything. Everything. He was the best cop of the lot as a rookie, and he tried to explain to his family, who didn't seem to understand, that it's better to have black cops roaming the streets of the city like cowboys, than to leave it to others who were not brothers. For this, he gave up his life. No children, no wife. He'd have been arrested, robbers, rapists, killers, and people on crack for being spit at, laughed at, shot at, and knife attacked. He'd been called a traitor and an Uncle Tom, but he held on and on and on to his conviction with no predilection, even though those he called his own left him standing all alone in the enemy zone. The train roars. Ajax's thoughts soared. He placed his large hands over his face, trying to cover the frustration, the hate. The blue shield he had on wouldn't be there for long. That piece of metal that made him, them, all of them above the law, giving them power not to care about the injustices they saw. It didn't matter the color. It was a shared belief that the blue stood before all others' honors and all others' griefs. It happened time and time again, from Eleanor Bumpers and Michael Stewart, the cops shooting the poor and saying, "I didn't mean to do it." Then run to their superiors like spoiled 2-year-olds to have a mayor and a police chief to give them honors instead of sentences and scolds. Be a man, Ajax thought. Be a man. The latest, the blue killed Eric Gardner, choked the man out for the world to see, and they were still granted immunity. Now the blue supporters were having a toast to the poor black man that gave up the ghost. Meeting downtown tonight to toast our acquittal. Ajax heard them, they watched him. He spat spittle. Out of the train station, 23rd Street, they would be there at the bar, drinking beers and having eats. The smell of health and wealth in the air. 5th Avenue perfume, Wall Street fear. By the side of cars, Ajax crept up the street towards the bar. He felt for his second gun, a Glock, the one he kept in his sock. By the other side of the street, he stood and watched. It was suddenly so clear, his vision, their laughter, their toast made so clear his decision. Back against the wall of the corner bodega store, sweat shit the shakes. He never shoot before. Or maybe it was because of all the oaths it took to go against your own, when all types of oaths you swore. But maybe this one act, and it would be over. No lucky charms coming from a 4-leaf clover, but somebody had to do it. Somebody had to let them know that they cannot laugh, kill people, and put on a show. Ajax and Calvin had heard enough. Hearing them scream their celebration was a bit much. Shaking still. Maybe one walk around the block would calm his will. He turned the corner, walking a slow, tortured walk, like a wounded animal on the stalk. As he turned the first corner and the second, he picked up the pace. There was no more time to waste. He visualized it in his mind. He walked right into that bar. He go stupid, go blind. He emptied both guns into their bodies and watched the blue blood flow. He could see their brains hit the ground in slow-mo. The consequences would be prison or death. Either one he was ready to accept. He turned the corner now, walking fast, almost running, hands on his instruments of production, of destruction, running. Help! 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 And just like that, we changed the facts. A little round woman in the street right before Ajax. No, help, senor, please help me. No hablo inglés, please. Shit, well, just like that, she grabbed Ajax. Not knowing she was grabbing a dangerous man, but she pulled him hard by the hand. Lady, please, senor, please, no hablo inglés, please. Well, sometimes it happens. Just like that, an instinct took over for Ajax. What kind of trouble was she in, he thought? Maybe he could help her before his death assignment was lost. He followed the woman into the walk-up tenement, lying there on the first floor, right next to the door. He'd been called to save her, a woman in labor. Shit. He knelt down beside her, and when you know the baby was already exploding outside of her. Oh, shit. He could see new life flowing. The head was already showing. As the woman pushed the life into the world, Ajax's head began to swirl. He looked down at the baby and sighed. And just like that, he and the baby began to cry. He picked up the baby and wrapped it in his arms. The sweat from his shirt was wet and warm. He ran out on the avenue with the little fella to grab a cab, a yellow. As the driver flew past the watering hole, the blue held their glasses up big and bold, toasting their death victory in a sick toast of ecstasy. But Ajax never saw that. His mind was on the baby held by the mother in the back. In St. Vincent's Hospital, Ajax sat and waited. His date as a death mercenary had been abated. The nurse and the grandmother came over to thank him. At last, Ajax was able to clinch. The little round grandmother squeezed Ajax with all her little round grandmotherly might before he got up and walked back out into the night. He walked the 20 blocks past the watering hole, past those still celebrating a life stole. They were still there, still drinking, still toasting, still boasting. Someone noticed him and waved. Ajax waved back. Little did they know that this night they were the prey, but the hunter would give them another day. Ajax continued his walk, no longer on the stalk, but something inside felt just right. Ajax blended into the night. I look around at today's world and wonder how in the world did we get here? I grew up during a time where kids played outside in the middle of the street until the streetlights came on. Or your mama called you in when dinner was on the plate. Ooh, better not be late. I mean, there was no TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, where the number of likes define who you are. What the fuck is an internet star? I mean, sometimes the Technicolor TV was spiral. Now everybody wants to go viral. I mean, how did we get here after Martin and Malcolm and Huey and Bobby, RFK, JFK, Stokely Carmichael, Fred Hampton, Assata and Angela too, challenging the hypocrisy of the red, white, and blue? Yeah, looking to a better world, those that died, those that got fried, those that went into exile to hide because they wanted to expose the truth. The truth that was supposed to set us free, you and me. How did we get here? In 2008, when he wasn't supposed to win, a black president was voted in, and he said all the right things, like it's about change, and yes we can, giving hope to every American. Elected to office by blacks, whites, yellows, and browns, by people tired of the same old sounds. Yes, we can make America a vision of divine destiny for everybody that should not be denied by American historical shame, racism, by any other name. And those betrayed Americans, some of them descendants of slave owners, couldn't believe that shit. The needy, greedy parasites of the right were ready to fight. Mitch and the good old boys, scandalous and corrupt, would not give up, and they were mad. Hearts bleeding the Confederate flag. But the dividing lines have always been thin. It is now as it was back then. And then along comes Trump, spewing hatred and lies like a snake spitting venom in your eyes. But as we all know, there were good and bad on both sides. I mean, racist and sexist and homophobic slights, rhetoric of the right, division symbolized by a wall, children torn from their mothers and caged like hogs, a country in moral decay, a million lies in the media every day. In the middle of a global pandemic, they thought they knew more than the doctors and scientists will add crimes against humanity to its criminology list. How did we get here where black men and women are being murdered in the streets by civilians and the police, and the murderers never arrested, never convicted, even with evidence so clearly depicted? Anton Sterling shot point blank range, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the heart, then told to get up. What the fuck? I mean, Philando Castile, Breonna Taylor, Laquan McDonald, Freddie Gray, add another name every day. Ahmaud Arbery shot down like a runaway slave, dig his grave. Rednecks hunting a black man down as he jogged. The only thing missing were the dogs. And we all witnessed the execution of Big George Floyd as he said over and over again, "I can't breathe," as a cop choked him out with a knee, held him down until there was no sound. And we all watched as soul leave his body with him still on the ground. How did we get here? And people all over the world came out into the streets and they were calling his name. Big George's death would not be in vain. They would refrain. And you would think that with all the attention being paid, it would stop. But 3 shots in the back and Rashard Brooks was dropped. They tried to kill Jacob Blake, 7 shots of hate. What will it take? I mean, will Vallejo, California, shot 60 times. Jayland Walker, Akron, Ohio, shot 99. I mean, what kind of demons would do this to another human being? Are you witnessing the evil that I'm seeing? I mean, how did we get here? White supremacists waving the American flag, meat armed to the teeth, and Capitol streets in Michigan and D.C. MAGA hats and Make America Great Again, ignoring the fact that America was built on sin. Storming the Capitol on January 6th, a new day of infamy for the blind and the sick. And even after losing the vote, they was yelling, stop the steal. What? Are they for real? I mean, called into action by General Trump from his perch on Capitol Hill. The Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, QAnon, armed, ready to kill, marching in swarms to change a democratic election. To do an insurrection to change the democratic election. How did we get here? Okay, back in the day, black and white people marched in the street, ready to fight, ready to die, because real freedom could not be denied. I mean, people were so tired, they had to riot. I mean, Martin Luther King marched and sang, "We shall overcome." But right behind him was a panther with a gun. But never could black and brown people storm the Capitol and live. Ooh, baby. It would have been a different narrative. Yeah, they would have mowed us down, black blood on the ground. Okay, so back in the day, growing up in dangerous New York City, I never felt the need to carry a gun or a knife. It was fight or flight. But today I'm going to give it to you straight. I don't even feel safe. It seems like anybody can shoot a black person down without any repercussions, and that's disgusting. But I'm convinced as a true native son that if the ballot don't work, then fuck it, give me the gun. I mean, things will change if black people start shooting back. But I am not trying to incite nothing. Never that. Just stating the facts. Okay, so I should bring this piece up to date because it is from the truth that we can relate. All right, 5 black cops in Memphis beat an innocent black man mercilessly until he died. Blood coming out of his eyes. And those 5 cops were immediately despised as they stood on the street lamp talking shit. One of the most heinous crimes I ever witnessed, like modern day Uncle Tom's, with like a black slave catcher with a badge and a rifle under his arms. I mean, turning on their own race for a blue face, what a fucking disgrace. And how did we get here? I'll tell you this, they arrested those 5 black cops real quick. Right. I mean, you never saw them arrest white cops like that. Ain't that some shit? I mean, just look at the Jayland Walker case, right? I mean, those 8 cops were never charged. Yeah. Kill a black body, they just disregard. Yeah. Well, we've been talking about this, like white supremacists and the KKK infiltrating police departments all over the USA, from Boston, Louisville to LA. How did we get here? Okay, this racist shit is like, I can't believe that we are still dealing with this shit in 2023. I grew up in the 1960s. I saw the turbulent 60s. I saw the dogs and hoses on TV. I watched MLK march and March for Equality, and Malcolm X call out American hypocrisy. Yes, we have made progress, but lately we have regressed. And the dog whistle went out for the racists who were restless, and out they came, and we have a system of systemic racism to blame. And racism is like a virus. It's like a deadly disease that wants to bring us all to our knees. I mean, being anti-racist is our only vaccine. Fighting against hatred, I will never stop. Against the systemic system, white supremacists, or the racist cops. Apathy and hypocrisy are dangerous foes, so we all need to be in an anti-racist zone. We can't do this shit alone. Racism has got to change, or we only have ourselves to blame. black man. See me. I am the language I do not speak, but hear me. I am rivers of emotion. Feel me? I am the fruit of life. Taste me. I am song and dance and tribal rhythms, the heartbeat of life. Know me. I am the man that stood on auction blocks, head high, teeth bared, stripped naked, so the eyes of the world could appear envious in my nobility. And I am the man that worked the fields of these lands, who stole away into the night on freedom's flight. I'm Gabriel Prosser, I'm Denmark Vesey, I'm Nat Turner, I'm Bobby Seale and Huey P2. Don't frown, also H. Rap Brown. I'm the first to die for liberty in America. That's a fact, thanks to Crispus Attucks. I'm a turning point in the Civil War. I'm all the souls of the Massachusetts 54. I am Henry Highland Garnett and Frederick Douglass. I'm Harlem's Marching 369, marching to jazz music and time while shooting a gun in World War I. I'm the Tuskegee Airmen, flying high in the sky, proving that black men can indeed fly. I'm the blood in Vietnam, killing strangers for Uncle Sam, and I'm that black GI in Iraq and Afghanistan. I am a black man. I am the cowboy on a cattle trail. I'm Bill Pickett, Nat Deadwood, Dick Love, Cherokee Bill, and Ism Dart. Ooh, he put a hole in your heart. Yeah, and then I am Bass Reeves, the Lone Ranger in face of danger. I'm straight true, hanging from strange vines at dusk. Sing, Billy, I'm the Scottsboro Boys, I'm Emmett Till, I'm the Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment without consent. I am a black man, I create spiritual ragtime, jazz, and blues. I'm Scott Joplin, I'm Buddy Bolden, I'm Satchmo, the Duke and the Count. I am America's classical music. I am an intellectual aristocrat, fighting against the racist ideology I constantly combat. I am Garvey, I'm the boy of old Booker T, and today I'm taking all challenges, debating against their best. I am the Dyson and Cornel West. I have known rivers because I am Langston Hughes. I'm complex and erudite from the pen of Richard Wright. I'm James Baldwin. I'm Ralph Ellison giving Invisible Men insight. I'm James Baldwin in Giovanni's room creating blues for Mr. Charlie for the fire next time. I am a Renaissance man. I'm the cowboy on the cattle trail. I am the baseball player riding a rickety bus from one hot, dusty Jim Crow town to the next, proving that I was better than the best. I'm Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, and Satchel Paige. I'm Jackie Robinson, Hammering Hank, Bob Gibson, and Willie Mays. Man, I am Reggie Jackson and Bobby Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr., jacking heaters. And I'm cool, and I'm smooth, like Derek Jeter. I'm that black kid playing basketball under inner city lights at night. I'm Bill Russell, Connie Hawker, and Bill Russell, and Connie and the Big O. I'm Magic, putting on a triple-double show. I'm Kareem, and I am the Dream. I'm the Attack, called Shaq. Hey, you got to know my name. I'm the King, LeBron James. I'm Dr. J, Duncan from the Key. And I am that Black Mamba, a.k.a. Kobe. No, I don't want to be like Mike. I am Michael Jordan. What, you want me to stop? Not because I'm Bebop. I'm Dizzy and Monk and Miles and Train. I'm Cannonball and Charlie Parker going insane. Man, I'm Walter Payton and Gail Sayers playing for the Chicago Bears. I'm the Juice. I'm LT, Jim Brown, and Deacon Jones breaking bones. I'm Patrick Mahomes attacking the end zone. I'm Colin Kaepernick taking the knee for justice and equality. I'm cityfied and I am countryfied. I'm old school and I am new. I am Martin ringing the freedom bell, and I'm his blood at the Lorraine Hotel. I'm Detroit Red dancing the Lindy Hop, and I am the Malcolm they had to stop. I'm his blood running onto the floors of the Audubon Ballroom. I'm Al Sharpton too, losing all that weight, getting in shape, going up against the proponents of hate. Yeah, no matter where injustice erupts, I always show up. I'm Benjamin Crumb.
You know, I am Cassius Clay, becoming Muhammad Ali. I'm all the sweet sugar of Robinson and Leonard's Rays. I'm smoking like Joe Frazier. Yes, I'm the real deal because I am Evander Holyfield. I'm Mike Tyson, fighting and biting. I mean, knocking motherfuckers out, leaving no doubt. I'm Denzel, living the life of Reuben Hurricane Carter and Wesley Snipes, becoming a vampire in the night. I'm acting with the passion of Samuel L. Jackson. I'm Sidney Poitier, sharing with love in the heat of the night. They call me Mr. Tibbs. I'm Spike Lee, giving us Mo Better Blues. And John Singleton, using Boys in the Hood as his muse. I'm Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther, Wakanda, forever. And I'm Barry Gordy, found in Motown. I am Smokey, Marvin, and Temps, and no jive. I'm the Jackson 5. I'm James Brown, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I'm the Sugar Hill Gang. I'm Ice-T's definition of nigga. I'm Run DMC and the Notorious B.I.G. I'm Diddy. I'm Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. I'm DMX and LL Cool J. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out because I'm a rough rider, bad boy, a public enemy on death row. I am a black man, still harvesting the fields of these lands, driving buses, hustling in the streets and delivering the mail, attending Grambling, Harvard, Howard, and Yale, and rotting in jail cells. I'm the target of genocide, a fact that can't be denied because too many of us have died. Trayvon, Mike Brown, Tamir Rice, all taking out in the prime of life. Big George Floyd, a knee on the neck for 846, a moment in our lives we will all never forget. Constantly being attacked. But I'm also Claude McKay fighting back. I'm combating racism, living with pride and refusing to die. I'm having faith in God when times are hard. I'm looking the world in the face and saying, I ain't going no place. Are you getting my drift on this riff? This is my anthem, the grand psalm in this new millennium. See me right? I'm saying yes to yes I can. Because I am Barack Obama, the first black president. Here I stand. See me right? I'm not a stereotype. I'm a black man. See me. I'm a black man. Hear me. I'm a black man. Feel me. I'm a black man. Touch me. I'm a black man. Know me. I'm a black man. I am. Thank you all. Thank you. My goodness. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. You know, this is my third show live. You know, I've never done this before, and so I appreciate all the give back. You know, and so many of you I know I have personal friendships and relationships with, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you.